My name is Katrina. I am the content coordinator here with Y2Y, and I'm really excited to be having a virtual sit down with Y2Y's president and chief scientist, Dr. Jodi Hilty. So we got a few questions on Earth Day on our social media, and she has come on here today to help answer those questions. So we'll be getting into those, but thank you, Jodi, for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So we'll just get right into the first question. Is Y2Y working on ways to make roads safer for wildlife at different scales and in different areas?
That's a great question, and the short answer is yes. Right now, today, there are over 115 underpasses and overpasses in the Y2Y region that are designed specifically so that wildlife can get safely across roads. This makes it the landscape with the most wildlife crossing structures anywhere in the world. Are we done yet? Absolutely not. There are still roads that either are increasing in traffic or already have really high traffic volumes that are dangerous for wildlife and either lead to roadkill or sometimes lead for some animals for them to approach the road and then turn around and not get across. And so this means that the populations are separated. So we're working on normalizing consideration of connectivity or getting wildlife connected across roads in every region, all the provinces and states where Y2Y is working.
That's great. Thank you so much for answering that. We'll go to the second question. It's a bit of a longer one, so here we go. Is it feasible to establish feeding or transit zones for grizzly bears through calculated, safe corridors, even if not owned in a large acreage, such as in small islands, to aid in connecting larger islands of bear populations?
Another really important question, and something that really is at the core of what Y2Y does. We do this in lots of different places, and I think what I'll do is talk about one of the most challenging places, which is right at the border of the US and Canada. Between Montana, Idaho, and British Columbia, we've been working in that area now for over 10 years to take small isolated populations of grizzly bears and make sure that they can reconnect with other populations adjacent to them. And this is hugely successful. And what's really exciting about it is that we know it's successful because of science. We started off with the science to tell us where the populations were having problems. We used the grizzly bear science to tell us where the most important areas were likely going to be. That included public and private lands and changes to those lands to make sure that wildlife could get across. And we did that work, and that work included sometimes doing conservation easements on private lands to make sure that those lands didn't inadvertently get it developed in a way that wildlife wouldn't be able to cross. We also worked on roads in certain areas, how wildlife gets safely across roads, and we're continuing that work. And we worked on coexistence measures. So how do we make sure that as wildlife pass closer to humans, often in these low valley bottoms that are occupied by humans, how do we ensure that they stay safe? And that's things like putting electric fences around chicken coops, around beehives, around orchards, and things like that that could otherwise get grizzly bears into trouble. And then finally, our last method was really working on the private or the public lands piece and making sure that the way people are recreating on public lands, that they're carrying bear spray with them, and that road densities on those public lands are low enough that grizzly bears can feel safe and move across that landscape. And by doing that, we return to the science, and the science, these people who were studying grizzly bears like Michael Proctor and others, were able to show that these grizzly bears are reconnecting. These were isolated small populations of grizzly bears that are starting to move back and forth across the places that we predicted would be important for them and where we focus these kinds of activities.
That was a great answer. Thank you so much. Yeah, those are the questions we got that I wanted to talk to you about today, and I really appreciate you talking more about our, bigger vision of connected habitats, and also the pieces that go into that, the on the ground work for coexistence and all of those things that help that connectivity. So thanks again. It's nice to see you, and talk to you soon.
Great, thank you.